Hello, I'm Patricia McNeely. I'm a Blu-ray twin flame from Chicago, Illinois. I hope you're doing well. So in this video, I want to share a little bit of my own journey and how I came to be at this point. So, some of it goes back to childhood. I didn't realize it as a child, of course. I doubt that many people do, although they just have their experiences. You can't really piece it together until years later. It's just an odd series of, random things that seem to happen to you. But I had something else. I had this sort of, I don't know, thing inside me that I actually thought everybody had similar experiences to me. It wasn't until years later I really realized that they don't, and they haven't, and they can't, and they won't unless they do certain things to, get it opened up. Now, there's reasons for that, of course, but in the topic that I'm going to talk to you about, the angelic body, what I had been aware of was that there were things I could do. And I don't mean like instant manifestation, although I have had that experience until I didn't, and it was time to leave the old paradigm for me. I'm talking about what seemed to be like my extra senses. My extra senses of detecting things, smelling things, sensing different things, my flying dreams. And again, I assumed that other people had these. And it was sometimes mildly shocking to me to realize that they didn't, or to try and compare notes and understand they didn't. Now, one thing I had as someone who is Irish and Polish and Catholic is drinking of alcohol. So this is something that it is socially acceptable, and it is something that, a lot of people do. I mean, you get done with work. But it was in the way that it played out for me that I began to understand that, I was able to do it a lot more than some of my peers, some of my friends. I had a really good group of friends who we'd look out for each other and stuff and hang out as a group. But when it came to that, there was trouble. There was trouble for me because it wound up ruining some of my relationships that I really valued. I found that I really just needed to get sober. Now, this is something that I did in fits and starts over a couple of years. And I can tell you the rest of it because as an angelic, your body doesn't need it. But how do you do it? Okay. So there I was. I had really been doing it because I asked someone in my family who had gotten sober, and I said, how do you do that? And they said, because you just do it. And I was like, whoa, that really doesn't cut it for me. I have to really do this. So the very first thing I found was I didn't make it a dedicated thing. I had to dedicate myself to it because it had actually reached life or death for me. That's how I felt about it. The other thing was I had to make it a part of my schedule. And it's no different with anything you're trying to do or accomplish. You have to make it a part of your schedule. You can't just ask St. Peter or, Archangel Michael to come in and glue everything together with, Scotch tape and duct tape and Elmer's glue. You just can't. You have to do some things yourself. So this is one of the benefits that I realized is that I was doing it. Now, another thing that was very helpful, and which is why I recommend that you take my classes, is that it is neutral, meaning that it's not an emotional attachment. You're able to focus on yourself and get yourself instructed and have a good time, but it's not carrying some of those strings of the past. It's not like asking your family or telling your family, like, I feel like I'm going crazy, or it feels like I have to do this or that. That's a good thing. The next thing is that when I had a little bit of that time under my belt, it was time to go heal some stuff. So I go on this trip to Mexico with the intention that I'm going to do some past life healing work, some grid work there, and, really, really do something. Well, it was both magical and amazing and alarming all at the same time. Because what happened was, as I was there, I had prepared by bringing some things with me. It turns out the place that I stayed had some old Mayan ruins on it. Now, I knew that I had had some lives as a Mayan, and little did I know I was one of the top people, because I've had this theme of being a healer and a priest, or a healer and a priestess, or kahuna, or a medicine man or medicine woman throughout several of my lives. So this has been who I am and why I am still concluding those agreements. And these are high-level agreements. There's not really a getting out of it, but there is making it modern and making it accessible and making it, precise so that people can do this. So there I am, and they're doing a ritual, and this ritual is right by the kapok tree. And the kapok tree is a tree that, oddly, I was allergic to as a child, and it's such an obscure thing because it doesn't grow in my area, it grows in that area. The materials at the time that come from this tree were used for making mattresses. And I don't know if they still are, but I was allergic to it. So if I had pillows or mattresses, we had to ask if it had these, components in it from the kapok tree. And otherwise I would have an allergic reaction. Now, that in and of itself, having an allergic reaction to something, is usually something contentious from your past. Allergies, resistances, fears, phobias, okay? I didn't have a phobia. But what happened next was the ritual there. There were young ladies acting for the tourist as priestesses. Well, they painted my face, and they actually let me bury some things, and I felt this floodgate of emotion. I couldn't help it. I just started crying. Makes me want to cry now. Started crying about the past, and just like weeping for that lost long ago place that I must have left my heart and soul, and that I really didn't really, know everything. I couldn't see it, but I felt. And I felt this rush of emotion and rush come back to me. So they definitely helped me, and I took photos of myself with the paint on my face. And that night, I dreamed some things. And in the dream, it was very deep. I was doing something and finishing something. But as I surfaced, I came back to myself, and I suddenly felt something come out of me. It felt like a wetsuit that divers wear. A wetsuit came out, and there it was on the floor, and it was so startling. I just literally jumped onto the other side of the bed. I wasn't really afraid because it had come out of me, and yet I was like, what was that? What just happened? And got myself calmed down with some of my specialty breathing, and then sort of felt into it. And I realized that that was a part of truly letting go of an earth life, an earth persona, and that the part of me that I actually did need back to me, my heart was with me. I felt so much lighter. But from that point on, I never craved anything in terms of, alcohol. My big thing was beer and vodka or tequila. That was about it, because other things seemed to make me sick. I didn't take the hint. It seemed to make me allergic. I didn't take the hint because I wanted to push through. And I realized in pushing through that being without love, it's sort of like a death wish. It's the slow suicide. It's the wishing for death. It's where you want to go. And the angel side of you wants to get out, wants to get on with things, wants to be together. The human side, though, has to stay here and see this through. And so that's how it was for me. From that point on, There was no angst whatsoever about it. Now, I don't claim that I had this profound experience for no reason, because it enabled the love to flow in. But it gave me deeper insights on why people need to let go of certain things so that they can receive. Because there are other levels and there are other things. And while certain things can be very acceptable, they're just non-productive, or they're counterproductive for where you are going and who you are and how this is. Now, there were other levels of clearing so that I could integrate the new template at a much higher level. So then that occurred the next year. So this actually went in steps. It had to go from here to here to here to here. Okay, so this was about a 4-step process. This 4-step process is being condensed if you follow along. And it's really hard for people. I am finding that cigarettes are one of the worst addictions to try and quit. I have had people where just with smoking and nicotine addiction, they're having almost psychotic episodes. Not everyone, but some people. That makes people dysfunctional for work, for driving, for attending to themselves, for taking good care of themselves. What about other things? Well, some things do help, and there have been, quite a bit of research done on other types of substances. And what I can tell you about it is the mechanism is very similar, and some will either affect one part of your body or another. But the main effect it has is the diminishment of your human body's functions, because it will still affect the human body. And so there's a part of you that wants to get out of those levels so that you're actually using love to function, that you're using intimacy in a brand new balance, and that it actually comes to you and reaches for you as you, rise up. So in my webinar class, which I'm going to have, this is in 3 parts. It's going to be also in an evening part if you're in Australia or somewhere in India, Australia. We're going to talk about the ancestral drugs, alcohol, smoking, gambling, fighting, because these are the tendencies. And sometimes they all go together. Some people have like a little bit of crossover there. What is called cross-addicted. They smoke and they drink, or they smoke and they drink and they drug occasionally, or they smoke and they drink and they drug and they fight and they gamble, and it's on. And this kind of thing squanders resources quite a bit. Even if people find it's affordable, that's going to be a karmic drain at some point for people who need to ascend. They're going to find that what happens is things don't happen well, and you have to start taking the hints. Before you get to that point, why not join and begin the smoother process of doing this? The 4D level and the astral plane. A lot of people, if you are trying to open your third eye and your other half is doing any of this stuff, it can affect, because there will be thought forms and beliefs. Okay. In the old level, there are areas inside and outside your body that require attention. So we are going to do this with my my trademarked twin flame breath, which is for opening up your upper channels, and you and your family or children to be ready for these shifts, because this is a part of your angelic body in the shift from the old level to the new level. So I do this via healing by twin flame reconnection. And we focus on the twin flame body, which is the complex of your subtle bodies that you need in order to function and, do well. I mean, I'm not just saying do well. There was a lot of healing I had to do after that, because you don't drink amounts of tequila and not have some damage to your nerves. Neuropathy, dysfunction, liver imbalance, imbalance in glucose metabolism, digestive upsets, optic nerve, the macula. These are all things that I had to repair. Okay, so by the time you get to a certain age, you're talking about a repair job, and you're talking about building up, and you're talking about integration of new. Okay, so the process goes like this: there's healing, there's purging, there's repairing, restoring, there's building, and there is the upliftment that is a part of that integration. But if you don't have a good foundation inside, you're going to feel it, and that throws people off. So I like to clarify that for people so that you're actually, using your angelic body to do this and not your mind, because you can't use the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is getting rid of your memories. Those are being put into the repository of your personal experiences, your Akashic records. Now, what are we going to do in this class? Very good question. You will get an ebook. You will get this book on twin flame ascension and breath, which will further clarify the process of twin flame ascension, the twin flame journey and the twin flame ascension, because in many ways they are one and the same. But the kicker is there's two of you. There's two of you. But what do? You focus on you. When you do something, love ripples, and you want it to ripple back to you. You get an ebook. You get movements to open your channels, a 5D activation, star seed opening, and a live Q&A session each time that we meet. So each week we're doing that. I hope to see you there. I hope you join. Please look for the links below or on my website at twinflamesmerge.com, twinflamesmerge.com. Thanks so much, and I will see you soon. I am available for one-on-one sessions to help you with any of your topics, questions, stresses, purges on your twin flame journey. Bye.